My name is Leo Connors, and welcome to The Ring and All Other Sports. Tonight, I got a very special guest, Greyson freaking Flax!
That's right, Leo. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm great. How are you?
I am doing great.
Can't go too far without laying you here.
Ah, yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Like my haircut?
I love the haircut,
I guess I just cut it yesterday.
Looks fantastic.
All right, let's get right into it.
Sure.
Where did you grow up?
I was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Whoa.
Totally around.
Breaking Bad.
I know, right? I stayed there for only a few months, but then I grew up in New York. I was there for about 8 years.
Yeah.
And then I lived in Connecticut for about 7 years.
Yeah.
And then I moved to New Hampshire. I've been in New Hampshire since 2000. So I guess I kind of grew up in New Hampshire, but I kind of was raised all over the place.
Right. That's wild. But yeah, Breaking Bad's one of my favorite shows.
So
I had to say
so
that.
good. Yeah,
Did you like that show?
Yeah, it was a great show.
It was.
I think they got a new spin-off coming out. I just saw the trailer for it too.
Another one?
For something, yeah.
Really?
I can't remember what the name was, but maybe a prequel.
Because I thought Better Call Saul was fantastic.
It was great. It was a great show.
You know?
He's a great actor.
He is a great. Maybe we'll talk TV after.
Yeah.
When did you first see pro wrestling?
So I have vague memories as a child. I was born in '85.
Okay.
I have vague memories as a child of playing with Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior thumb wrestling figures. But I always knew of what wrestling was, but I never really got into it.
Right.
The thing that got me into it. Do you remember Cablevision? They would show you previews of upcoming pay-per-views and stuff that would take, right?
Yes.
So I'm watching this and I see like a beast of a wrestler. He's in the ring. And there's somebody that's got a lot of muscle but a little bit smaller than him, choking him out. And then they go through the ring. And I go,
oh, yeah.
What is that? Oh, that's Bam Bam Bigelow. That's Taz. That's ECW. That's what wrestling could be. That kind of like opened my eyes to like, oh my God. It kind of felt like when I heard Nirvana for the first time, because I grew up in the 60s and the 80s, which I love.
Yep.
Once I heard grunge, I was like, this is what music can be. Yeah. So then I had family in New York, still in Connecticut. I would go there every weekend, and I'd always try to get to that Spanish channel at 1 in the morning to get to the ECW shows. ECW was such a big part of my growing up. And then I had the Black Box, where we stole pay-per-views.
Oh, yes.
The first pay-per-view that I stole was ECW Heatwave 98. And then they had a preview for that classic SummerSlam 98, Highway to Hell with Austin and Taker.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I saw WWF was SummerSlam 98.
Wow. So you saw ECW before you saw WWE. That's amazing. That's a first for this show.
Is it really?
It is, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Nobody saw anything but WWE.
Breaking records, here we go.
Yes, you are.
And Taz was great because I'm a short guy. Taz is a short guy. And I'm like, he's just going to throw people around. Like, what
and
up, brother?
They booked him perfect. That's so strong.
And then my first time seeing Rob Van Dam, and I'm like, okay, this is one of the most athletic people I've ever seen. And then I fell in love with the Dudley Boys and the whole Dudley family. Best tag team ever. I love those guys.
Nice. Yeah. That is awesome. That is so cool. That's a great story. So, were your family into it?
No.
How about your friends?
A couple of friends. I'll be honest, I had some when I got older, you kind of realize who was into wrestling, and then you think, how come you never told me? Like, I had grandmothers and great-grandmothers. I loved Chief Jay Strongbow, and they loved Captain Lou, and I was like, guys, you never really turned me on to this stuff. But after you become a wrestling fan and you start wearing wrestling merch, you kind of like notice people in school, and everybody's, oh, you have a DX shirt? Oh, you have a what shirt? No. So you kind of find each other after that. Then once you find each other, all bets are off. I remember I had two really good friends in freshman or sophomore year. We loved the Dudley's Edge of Christian Hardy Boys feud they had.
Yeah.
So one of them would dress in mesh with the shirt coming out the back.
Right.
One of them had those giant goggles and the jerseys. I'm walking around school with glasses with no lenses because I like to be the Dudley boy. Yeah. We were marks. We loved it.
That's awesome. That's really cool. You guys were really into it. So you just told me like some of your favorites was Taz and the Dudleys and RVD.
Yes.
Because that was the next question. Who were some of your favorites?
You know, I think your favorites change over time. Like,
Oh, definitely.
Right? When I grew up, I was like, I love Steve Austin. Yeah. I love The Rock. And I don't dislike them now.
Right.
But Kurt Angle.
Yes.
Kurt Angle's like, I saw him pretty much from infancy to,
Right.
I started to really love Ric Flair. I started to love Chris Jericho. There's so many that I love. I mean, I know I was talking about like inspiration and stuff like that, but Rey Mysterio.
Oh, no doubt.
And then later on in life, whether it was any of the Japan wrestlers or, oh man, there's so many. I can go on. But yeah, Taz, RVD, Rock, those are like my first three.
Nice. Awesome. All right. And when did you know that pro wrestling was something you wanted to try or do? You know what I mean?
That is an excellent question, Leo. I can tell you that I'm not really an athletic person. And if you see me, I don't really look like I'm an athletic person either. I always wanted to be a referee.
Oh, okay.
I was like, this is the third man in the match.
Right.
He's got the best seat in the house.
No doubt.
And he's in the middle of the action.
Right.
So I really wanted to be a referee. And then I refereed a couple shows. But after my first couple of shows, they were like, are you sure you don't want to be a wrestler? And I was like, maybe I'll give it a shot. Maybe I'll give it a shot.
Nice.
But it was back in the days of the WW, which I know that's gotten some flack, which for good cause. And
Right.
people have talked about it for many, many years.
Well, we've been talking about it here on this show quite
know.
a bit lately, which
I
I
know.
think it should be talked about.
If I could give a minute just to give about
Yeah,
what it was.
absolutely.
So when I joined WW, I saw wrestling on a public access station like this. And I
Right.
was like, I know where this area is. I know a couple of these guys.
Yeah.
Can I join? And they kind of said, yeah. What can you do? What do you know? None of these guys were trained.
Right.
The deal was they had a boxing ring, and they said, let's get you in the ring. If you could take some back bumps and front bumps safely, so you're not really jacking your head,
Right.
so at least I knew that, then you're good to go. And I was like, that's it? And they're like, that's it. That really wasn't it, but that was it for them.
Right.
So we were thrown to the fire,
Yeah.
and we're putting matches. We're not even putting matches together. You're just shooting, and then if you win, you win.
Right.
It was crazy. It was like the Wild Wild West, right?
Yeah.
Then after a while, we got Alex Jace, we got Rob Vituli, we got Bob McCarthy. Like every now and
Guys
then.
that pretty much had been in the business a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. So then they're telling us and they're showing us how to really do
Right.
things. And then it became like, okay, well, we want to do things this way, but we also don't want to lose the spirit of WW. So
Right.
everybody was like, hey, do you want to be a wrestler? Can you not afford the $1,000 for school? Come on by. We'll see if you can do anything in the ring. And if you're okay, you can kind of join. So like I was thrown to the fire, other people were thrown to the fire.
Right.
It's all about if you could stand the heat or if you even wanted to. Some people after the first training, they're sore. They don't want to come back.
They didn't come back.
We get it.
Right.
Some people, they took what they learned
Yeah.
and they went far away. Like I could tell you that you've probably had a dozen people in this chair
Oh, yeah.
that have been in WW.
Yes,
people
absolutely.
like Chad Epic.
Yep.
People like the Steves.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many people that might not be publicly and open about it.
Right.
But in their heart, they know they were there.
Yep, I have
For us,
Steve
we know they
Lambert
were there.
coming back on again in a couple
P-Deck?
weeks. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep, I
look who's
do.
back
Pimp
again. It's
Daddy
your boy.
Apple Cinnamon.
He's great. He's so fun. I love that guy.
But no, honestly though, I'm glad to have brought some of these guys on. You know what I mean? Because honestly, it's nobody's fault that they weren't trained. They were doing something that they loved. And it took me a while to look at it that way and go, all they were doing was trying to have some fun.
I appreciate
They
it,
weren't
Leo.
doing anything to hurt anyone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And the interesting thing is because everybody's like, oh, they're untrained, they're getting
Right.
hurt. You got to also think, how many places run, like what, once a month? Maybe a typical promotion
Yeah.
once a month, let's say?
And you guys were doing it every weekend, right?
We ran every weekend
Yeah.
for 15 years.
Wow.
So the statistics of somebody getting hurt just based on the amount of times you're wrestling, I
Right.
mean, that's kind of up there too.
Yeah.
So while it seems like there's a lot of people that got hurt injured, it's just based on how many matches somebody has, you know?
Right.
And
That's wild.
The coolest thing I will say, just to
Yeah.
fit it, I do want to say that even though we weren't like professionally trained, some people did seek other training, which is great.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think it was an invaluable learning experience, had the opportunity to work in front of a crowd
Right.
every week
Yeah.
for 15 years.
Yeah.
You learn crowd control, you learn what they like, what they don't like, how
Right.
to switch stuff in the match. If they're going to switch stuff up, do you want to go with them or do you want to bring it back to where you want to be? So that was one of those
Nice.
things that a lot of people are like, well, train this. I'm like, but have you ever worked in front of a crowd for 15 years? You know?
Right. No, that's a great way to put that. That's awesome. All right. When did you go to your first show?
My first show. Do you mean like a wrestling?
As a fan, an indie show, but was your first indie show a WAW show? You know what I mean?
Oh, wow. That's a great question.
Or did you go to a show, WWE show, or even ECW show?
Yeah, I went to an ECW show. I can't remember if it was here in Nashua or if it was in Salem. I have the ticket. It was at the Ice Arena.
In Salem.
Salem.
That's in Salem.
I just remember Blue Meanie returned and he had lost a bunch of weight.
Right.
Spike Dudley came out. He got a huge pop. Like that was a hell of a show. People, Jerry Lynn and somebody else were just fighting all over the place.
Right.
I went to a Lowell house show. Lowell, I
Yeah.
know. And the main event, it was at Songus. The main event was The Rock and the Big Boss Man.
Nice.
Nightstick on a pole match. Back in the day when you had those just regular cameras.
Yeah.
I
The
have a
disposable
picture.
cameras.
Yes. I have a picture perfect image of The Rock with the nightstick dropping the people's elbow on the boss man.
Nice.
For indie shows, I went to it might have been like an AWA show.
A Lobster Man show.
Lobster Man show, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, when
I
he-
sold my merchandise at his show.
He was the best. He
Yeah,
was
he
somebody
was.
that he sold the 3D glasses.
Yeah.
And then he just gave
Oh, yeah.
Lobster Man was so
Were
brilliant.
you at that show, the
I mean,
3D match?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
Because I was there. I gave him $1. I bought a pair. I
it's
bought
like
a pair of
20
glasses.
years ago. Like, this is a long time.
a very long
time.
time
flies by when you're having fun and getting
And
older.
I don't know if you remember, but if you had gone to the other one, the roller skating rink match between Pinky Petunia and Sonny Goodspeed.
I remember
they were
Pinky,
on.
but-
Neither one of them knew how to roller skate. And that they show up at the arena that day and they you know how to roller skate, and they go, no. Neither one of them even tried to learn.
That's wrestling.
Exactly.
Coco Beware, he showed up on the show.
Oh, nice.
And he won the North New England American Heavyweight Intercontinental Championship. I don't know what he won,
Whatever it was,
but it was
right?
great. Yeah. So I loved it. Yeah.
That's cool. Coco Beware.
Yeah.
All right. So all right, let's see the indie show. We already talked about that. I know you weren't trained, but who was the first guy to help you in the ring a little bit? Rob? Was it Rob Batuli?
It was actually right before Rob. He was the biggest help.
Right.
But, Troop, James Allen or Jim Allen.
Oh, yeah, Jimmy, yeah. Trooper
So
Gilmore.
he ended up, he was one of the first people to take a couple of us under his wing to be like,
Nice.
hey, we see something with some of you guys.
Right.
We want to kind of like work with you a little bit here and there. So we did a couple of indie shows that he had booked.
Yeah.
And then after that, Rob Vituli came into WW and he was such a great help. I have a funny Rob Vituli story where he was just like he was doing moves out of the corner where people were doing those leg scissors, leg locks, and you kind of flip the guy out. I never practiced that. I'm like, I'll do it. I can do it, Rob. Let's go. So I go up, boom, knee him right in the face. Because I was too small, he didn't put his head down, but then after that I got it. But anytime I think about Rob in training, I just like, yep, I need that guy right in the face. I'm so sorry, Rob.
So now with Trooper, was it the Middlesex Express? Did he take it like?
This was before.
This
is like
before those
2005, 2006.
Wow,
So
okay,
he was
this
there
is
with
real early.
Widowmaker, I think.
Okay, yeah, Eric Shred.
Yeah, so there was a long time. This is right when Bob McCarthy started to come around a little bit, and then Barry Ace, so I know you know a little bit of.
Yep. No, Barry Ace, that's Dan's favorite wrestler. Yeah, I couldn't believe it when he said it, but hey, you like who you like.
As soon as he said, like, what's your inspiration? He goes, Barry Ace. I'm like, I dream about it.
And then I seen afterwards he was talking to someone on Facebook. He goes, I just wanted to see how many times I could say Barry Ace.
I gotta get that
think
counter.
It's hilarious.
So good, so funny. Probably going to be one of the most watched of this year, I think.
It's hard to get almost like 200 views. So
Get a Bucky!
Very, very good. Thank you, Buck. All right. So who now is still wrestling around in companies now around here that was wrestling back then in 2005 in WAW?
So if they were, we were so like not even thought about as being even cool, good enough to be with them. So like when Alan and like Brian Reese booked their own shows, they had us and they had like a couple people they knew that were like, okay, you're not gonna like shoot on these people and stuff. But I'll be honest, there's been plenty of times in battle royals where they know that we're not really the top of the, and what do? They want to put our shirts over their heads. They want to chop the hell out of us. They want to throw us out of there. That happens all the time. I think it's taken a back seat now and here and there, but back then, and we understood, we kind of went with it, and it's not like I haven't been chopped before, you know what I mean? It's one of the best moves, loudest moves, so.
As long as it ain't Big Rick Fuller chopping you, or Don Vega, or Jose Perez. I could go on and on with a lot of
I've heard about Jose Perez, yeah.
You don't want to be chopped by those guys.
Anyway, when you want to get a chop, you want to get the chop that's across. You don't want to get the chop that's down there. You know what I mean? That's just going to hurt and maybe rip off part of your nipple. You got to be careful there.
Right. Well, I want to share something with you about Barry Ace and Dan.
Yeah.
So Dan can understand this, that Barry Ace was a referee one time, and he refereed a Rick Fuller match. Okay. And he botched the ending.
The referee botched the ending?
Yeah. And Rick lit him up. I mean, like, really, really. I didn't even think about this. You know what I mean?
Just
when I had dinner. No, but somebody said something about it, reminded me on Facebook. But yeah, so Rick Fuller, like, lit up. And I felt bad for Barry Ace on that. Because, I mean, he got lit up by a 6 foot, 8 guy.
Well, it kind of helps you learn, right?
Well,
you would hope.
Yeah. I think he stayed out of the ring for a couple of years after that. And then he slowly got back involved in it. But yeah, I did. I felt bad for Barry Ace on that. I really did.
The best thing I can say about Barry Ace is I kind of look at him as almost like an idiot savant. Almost like a Rain Man.
Yeah.
We played poker once. He cleaned house.
Oh, yeah. I could see that.
We couldn't believe it. We're just like, he walked out with everybody's fun. We're like, Barry Ace, you've been faking the whole time. You're really this smart, right? And
you can tell he's a smart kid. There's no doubt Barry is smart. Like you said, kind of come off like a little aloof. But he's an intelligent kid. There is no doubt about that.
He's more of an observer than he is like, you just kind of take action, kind of stays from behind and then.
So I just want to give Barry Ace a shout out. So, All right. So let's get into some fan questions.
Sure.
All right. Steven Russo,
yeah.
How much fun do you have ribbon referees? And you got to tell us about at least one rib that you've done.
I love ribbon referees. So it might be because I was a referee, but one of my favorite things to do is to not only make the crowd laugh, but I like to break my opponents in the ring. And if I can break the referee, that's even better. So if somebody's checking me in the beginning, they're checking the arm, I'm going to turn around. You better pat me down. Right. And if you're going to touch me right over there, come on, let's go. A lot of referees are just going to, but when they do, I go to the crowd. Oh, look, he touched it. And then everybody, like that. Sometimes if I'll be in a headlock, like it's headlock, referee, and they're like, what? I'm like, this guy's nipple's really hard. It's poking me in the eye. What can you do about this? And he's like, I can't. Or referee him in a headlock. He has to put on deodorant. Do something for me. I like to sing and I like to do stuff in the ring, and sometimes I'll just sing a song to the referee and I'll just keep carrying the tune as it goes.
Nice.
We had a referee in Manchester. He was one of the best refs. His name was Red Guy.
Yeah.
His real name was Sean Caron, and I would do everything I can to make him laugh in every match. Top Gun, you've lost that love and
Yes.
feel. Yeah, after a match, he just broke out into song. Like I
Nice.
serenaded him. Like I love, if I can embarrass somebody
Yeah.
and the crowd loves it, I love that too.
That's awesome. All right, Dustin Healy. When will you discard that smelly, disgusting middle-aged mask and get a new one? But someone came to your defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, Delilah Hayden.
Love Delilah Hayden.
Yes, she came to your defense and said it's not that old.
True. So I went through a couple of different masks when I was first starting off. It was a ski mask, then a Dr. Wagner Brown lucha mask, then a tiki mask. I just wasn't sure what I wanted, but I knew I wanted to have a mask because I'm not a good-looking fellow, Leo. So I just want to hide my face whenever I can.
Right.
And somebody was like, you want to wear a goat mask? And I was like, well, I don't not want to wear a goat mask.
Right.
Sure. So I got this goat mask, and it wasn't this exact mask, but pretty close to it. This is 06, and I wore that for, I don't know, 10 years, maybe a little bit less, 8 years.
Right.
And then I took off the mask. I was a bad guy for a couple of years, and when I became a good guy again, Delilah and her family helped put a goat mask together because they
nice.
stopped making these at High Spot or Lucha, whatever it was, whatever one. So, but then like the mask,
That's cool.
It wasn't bad. The mask started to fall apart. Then my gear got stolen. So then I needed a mask. I eventually contacted, I think it was High Spots. I gave them an order number from 10 years ago.
Right.
And they said, yeah, we can make that. So I bought 3 or 4 goat masks, all the same. So that way if they ever get damaged or lost, I can just go right back to it.
That's cool.
And there's just something about when you put on the mask, I feel like you be somebody different.
Right.
I know a lot of people feel like that towards Halloween, but now I can feel like that anytime I wrestle.
Right.
The only thing that I realized when I took the mask off eventually is that I could actually see it on my peripherals. That thing just blocks your peripherals so you can't really see. But the good thing about the mask is that you learn to sell without your face.
Exactly.
You can use your voice. I use my voice all the time. Your body, everything like that. So that's really
cool.
helpful.
That's awesome. Now, what happened? Like you lost your gear that got stolen. Did it get stolen at an arena?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
I got to blame myself because I left it outside of a place in Manchester, and Manchester isn't the best neck of the woods, but I was moving stuff back and forth from the gym to the car, and it was right a week or two before one of our biggest shows. So like my mask, my gear, kick pads that were donated to a friend that was no longer with me, like shirts I'm never going to see again. So that was really devastating more than anything.
No
But
doubt.
hey, that's what happens in the wrestling world, right?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, there's not nice people, not just in the wrestling business, but in life in general.
Right.
You know?
I know.
All right. Alex Volpe?
Yeah.
Volpe?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Who are the top 5 people, in your opinion, to come out of WAW? Is he fishing? though? I'm just curious.
He might
Is he fishing?
He might be
All right.
fishing,
That's
but
all right. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can fish if you want.
oh, I'm gonna fish, but he's not getting the bait.
Oh.
Top 5 to come out of WAW. I'm gonna go number 1. It's gonna be Stephen Lust.
Yeah.
Only because of the strides that he made in the shortest amount of time. I think that he, you know what?
And he's killing it now.
I might
too.
have to put Chad Epic at number 1.
Really?
Only because Chad
Okay.
Epic is doing a little bit of everything with the exception of getting in the ring, but he's like,
Right.
you know? So
He does
Chad,
do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, then Lust, and probably PDAC.
Okay.
I got to throw Frank Bones up there
Yep.
because Frank Bones, when he showed up, people were like, yeah, who's this guy? You know,
Right.
it didn't really seem like he was going to go anywhere or do anything. And then Q to a couple years,
Yeah.
he's the one that's helping store the ring. He helps put the rings together, keep the rings together. When he's hopping on one
doing
leg, getting the
awesome.
rings up there, right?
Yeah.
He's out there, he's running shows,
Yep.
he's winning belts in all different places. So, I mean, Frank Bones is up there too. You know what? I'd be remiss if I didn't say Delilah Hayden. Delilah
Nice.
Hayden is one of the best
Yeah.
that has come out of WAW. She has
Excellent.
made such a name for herself.
Right.
We put the belt, the strap on her before any
Right.
other women were getting like male straps. You know what I
nice.
mean? I just think that she's one of the most underrated.
Right.
Not just
I
in the
agree.
ring, but everything that she does.
Yep.
Behind the scenes, merch. She's got a pretty good mind for the business too.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Okay. Alec has a second question. Alex has I think he has a couple more.
Oh, wow.
All right. Who, in your opinion, are the top 5 champions from its inception to now?
Are we talking about WW still?
Yep.
All right. I don't know. Top 5, I guess. I know FO Buck had mentioned from that before.
Yeah.
I'll throw me on there because I've been there for so long. I won
Yeah.
a lot of stuff. Frank Bones, the same thing. I can throw. Man, I don't know. Those 3 are the first ones. The first 3 that come to mind. Can I leave it at 3?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, of course
Sorry,
you
Draven. Maybe he's trying to say that he wants it to be him.
Yeah.
So I'll put Alex in parentheses, but it's It's a lot to remember at the moment.
Okay. How much weed did it take you to decide that the best way to get a 6'6", 270-pound monster over was to have him beat a guy via small package during his second match on the night?
Yeah. So not a lot. So essentially, I mean, this is the first time working with this guy. He's 6 foot tall. I'm like, how do you want to go over? He's like, I want to get you a choke slam. And I'm like, I mean, I've never taken a choke slam from this guy before. I haven't seen him do a choke slam, so we don't really have time to practice. So I don't know what he's going to do to me. And I've already worked once in the night, so I'm like, listen, you're a big guy. You're like a tree. I'm going to chop down the tree. I'm going to work the legs. I'll go for a figure 4. You want to just give me a small package? And he's like, okay. And I'm like, okay. So, I mean, looking back on it now, it would have been a little bit different. I have taken more choke slams from that man than everybody else I've worked put together. He's one of the safest, but also one of the most powerful. So he's a great person to get chokeslammed by.
Well, and Alec also continued to say,
oh my God.
All kidding aside, freaking Flax, thank you for believing in me and my abilities, even when I didn't. Thank you for all the matches, and thank you for being who you are. We need more people like you in wrestling, in my opinion.
Wow.
That's a hell of a compliment.
That is, man.
It really is.
I was gonna cut him off after like 3 questions, but now he's gonna make me tear up. Thanks, man.
No, really. He really likes you. No doubt.
Well, I love the guy. That's cool.
That is good. And next up, we got Mr. Rob Batuli.
Oh, yes.
How much wood would a wood goat chuck if a wood goat could chuck wood?
How much goat could a goat wood if a goat wood could wood goat?
Yeah. I mean, I had to, just because it's Rob, I had to say it. I was thinking about not, but I'm like, if it was anybody else, I might not have even read it and wrote it down.
Rob is good.
But I love Rob.
You want to know what I liked about Rob? When I first saw him, he's like, I got 2 gimmicks. I go, what do you mean you got 2 gimmicks? One of them is PT Jester, and one of them is Rob Batuli. So one of them, he was a good guy, he was a clown.
Right.
And the other one, he was just an evil menace.
Just himself.
And he's working probably twice in the same night or in the same battle royal. I'm like, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That was like the first time, because Mick Foley, with the 3 faces of Foley,
Yeah.
that's the first time I saw that in person. I was like, go get him, man. And he's got his bag full of all this gimmicks. I love them.
Right. Okay, he also says, who is the favorite person you've ever learned under, and why is it? PT Jester.
I will say, yeah, PT Jester is my favorite.
Nice.
I did say I learned a little bit under True before him. After him, I got a couple classes with Demon Ortiz.
Nice.
And Mike Hollows in Gloucester. He was running Frank Bones and I through drills week after week. So I got to learn some good footing and good pacing with him. But Batuli has got to be the best because he took the most time.
Yep.
He explained stuff. He broke down the psychology and the why. It's one thing just to say, all right, shine, cut off, heat, go home. But why? What does that mean for the story? Why are we doing these things?
Right.
Just because we see it on TV, we got to emulate it? No, here's why. So yeah, it's got to be Rob. I thank Rob for everything that he's done for us, WW, and everybody's trained. He's one of the best teachers.
Excellent. Ken Watson, how much fun did you have at the Everett Rec Center?
Oh boy. Was that it?
Well, that's it. And then he wants to know what are your future ambitions. But
okay.
How much fun did you have at the Everett Rec Center?
So the Everett Rec Center, I've wrestled as both the GOAT and Spider-Man.
Okay.
They have some superhero stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I would much prefer to be Spider-Man.
Really?
I get more of a reaction, and I do a lot less.
That's true.
As soon as I come out in the curtain, people are going crazy, right?
No, that's true.
10 punches, I can go on to 50. They're going nuts for everything.
Yeah.
So I will say that I really liked being Spider-Man when I was there, and I do like the Everett Rec Center because it's all about the kids.
Right.
It's right in the middle of the city. It's all about the kids. I don't like the parking. You have to drive through the cop center to get to the other side.
Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the butt.
But other than that, I liked it. And then for future aspirations, I can say that I've wrestled in almost all New England states.
Nice.
The only one I haven't is Connecticut, which is going to be on the list soon.
Okay.
So I'd like to do Connecticut, and I really like to do New York. I'd love to wrestle in New York sometime.
Excellent. That is really cool. So the Everett Rec Center, though, the superhero ones must be, I've never been to one. I've wanted to go to them.
They're free.
You got, Thor.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because I think I know the kid that plays Thor. It's the same kid that plays it all the time.
Most of the time, yes.
Yeah.
And then we had Batman versus the Riddler.
Nice.
I wrestled a bank robber, and it was like somebody's first match you ever had. And I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna invisible web sling you into a clothesline. You know what I mean? The kids are gonna put it in their minds. It'll be great.
I love Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man's great. Oh, how could you not, right? Spider-Man's awesome.
Dude, that's awesome.
I know. I'm such a mark. I'm a
That's
dirty
all right.
mark.
That's what you like. I have no tattoos. None.
That's all right. You're going to be buried and go to heaven. I won't.
No, I think you're going to heaven.
I got a
too.
Jewish family. I can't go to heaven apparently because I got tattoos.
Oh, that's baloney.
That's what I say.
It is. All right. So listen, Dustin Healy's back.
Okay.
He says, you seem to know your character very well and have gotten crowds into some of your staple spots. How did you come up with the Sweet Caroline idea, and how long have you been doing that bit?
That is a great question. I don't know the answer to either of those. I know that I have about 5 or 6 different musical numbers in my head that I want to do at any time.
Right.
But it all depends on the crowd.
Yeah.
It depends on how much time I have.
Right.
Like, I can't just go into the Clash, should I stay or should I go, if there's not going to be enough time.
Yeah.
When it came to the Sweet Caroline, I thought it was just, Boston, Red Sox, Sweet Caroline, ba, ba, ba.
Yep.
And everybody sings along. And
Everybody loves that song.
They love that. The only thing that I think about is that's such a fan-loving spot that do you put it in the beginning or do you put it in the end? Because the fans love it, so you want to save it.
Yeah.
But it's really not that impactful, so it should go to the beginning of a match. So it all depends on where am I going to throw that in. But I try to do that in every show as much as I can.
Nice.
I am a little bit worried that I'm going to be on a show with somebody like AG or Channing Thomas, and then like a week or two later, I'm going to see something on NXT, and they're going to do that spot, and I'm going to be like, son of a, I should have copyrighted that.
That is true,
It's
though.
a popular spot, right?
Yeah.
You know when I should have done it? I have only been doing it for a few years, but we got the chance to main event the Lowell Spinner Stadium.
Oh, nice.
There was a show we had there with the NWO. There was that weekend.
Okay.
That would have been the perfect spot to do that.
Yeah.
I wasn't even doing that spot at that time.
Right.
So I just got to think about that from now on.
Okay. All right. And Dustin also says, you've been in the game for a long time now. How do you keep yourself excited about wrestling? Great questions.
Whew. Okay. I will say that in 2016, I was no longer excited. There was a time where I experienced burnout, and I just didn't want to have anything to do with it, and I stepped away for a while. And then I had a really good friend of mine by the name of Chris Platt, rest in peace. He ended up passing away a couple years ago.
Sorry to hear that.
Oh, thank you. He went by Christian Sane. I don't know if anybody else has talked to him about the show, but he was like born to do this. Chad has tried to get him to do stuff for many, many times, but he just family and everything.
Yeah.
He goes, hey man, you want to check out some of this thing called the CWC on the network? And I was like, what is that, Cruiserweight Classic? And I'm like, okay. And he invited me over, and then he's like, you want to check out NXT's on Wednesdays? And that's when NXT was like the black, really good shit, right? Stuff. Sorry.
That's all right.
And then after that, he's like, I want to show you some New Japan stuff. So I was burnt out for like 4 to 5 months. And then all of a sudden, he showed me all the stuff that I just hadn't seen before. And it got me right back into it. So I would say,
I can see you getting excited about NXT because of how much you love DCW. Just
exactly
something different.
Right. It's just like that. But And I loved, I mean, I know that he's a big one now, but like we would spend nights on YouTube trying to find an Orange Cassidy match.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't find them all.
Right.
This is the most brilliant gimmick. He doesn't want to wrestle, and he's getting paid to do it. Then all of a sudden he's on TV. I'm like, oh my God, that's great. So it is about finding the new talent, being like, okay, I haven't seen that before. I'm really interested in that. And it's also kind of like, when it comes to like music or movies or wrestling, you know how they say wrestling is an art?
Yes.
And the mat is a canvas, right?
Yep.
Okay. It is my belief that, here's why I get excited. Whenever the bell rings, you have the opportunity, you could be witnessing the greatest match you've ever seen.
True.
Because you just never know. Right?
True.
So when the match starts, it's already here. It's up to the match to either go down here or go up there.
Right.
So I've had the pleasure of seeing, I was live for Michaels and Taker at Mania. I saw that. I saw Michaels and Ric Flair. I saw Angle and Benoit at the Rumble in Boston. I've seen a couple of good ones, right?
Yeah.
But to know that at any time when that bell rings, I could be watching the greatest match I've ever seen. And every now and then it happens on a pay-per-view. I might see a Bryan Danielson work somebody, and I'm like, that match was amazing. Like, I never thought I was going to see a match that good, you know?
Well, they're just saying that one of the greatest matches of all time just happened a couple of weeks ago, or last week, at Will Ospreay versus MJF. They wrestled for close to an hour on Dynamite.
Yeah.
I didn't see it at all.
It was okay.
But it was okay, though, yeah?
I mean, I'm a fan of the long matches anyway.
Right.
I like long matches, long feuds, but you know that if you can't do something in 5 minutes, you can't do it in 50. Like, you got to be able to do both. It could just be that there hasn't been a lot of a crowd that has seen a match like that on TV for that long. When was the last time something like that happened, right? Wasn't there like maybe
a couple of years at least?
Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega, they went to like a 30-minute Broadway,
really
right?
Yeah, yeah. It didn't MJF take on Daniel Bryan too?
Yes,
Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, they had an Iron Man. I was trying to think of one on TV. I mean, I know I'm kind of dating myself a little bit, but Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar, they had an Iron Man on TV, right? So those stuff I love. Yeah.
Kurt Angle's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And with the Olympics going on right now, it just happened to come up on like so many years on a date that Kurt won his gold medal
with a broken freaking neck.
Yes. All right. So I like this guy. I don't even know him. Richard Knight.
Richard Knight.
Also known as Reggie around here.
Yes, he's got some of the most magnificent shoulder hair you've ever seen.
Really?
Maybe you don't want to see it,
No,
but he's got
I
a
don't
lot.
know if I want to see it. I don't know. Maybe I'll take a peek. Flax is such an out there gimmick. What inspired you to put on the goat mask and say, this is it? This is what I'm doing? That's a great question.
So, like I said before, this is a great question. I went through a couple different masks. I think it was all about finding the character.
Okay.
So, as I said, some of my favorite wrestlers were a Kurt Angle or a Chris Jericho or The Rock. So, I might do a couple of things in my matches that might have something to do with them.
Yep.
You know, like I might do an ankle lock, or like Ric Flair, I'll do a figure four. Jericho, come on, baby. You know, something like that.
Yeah.
But they're not the character. So, what's the character? So, the character is Goldust, Mick Foley. I should say Dude Love, really, to be specific.
Right.
Doink the Clown, and Shark Boy. All right? So, Shark Boy, because I have the mask, I'm an animal, but I'm really just a person underneath, right?
Right.
Dude Love, because he's a little bit of the fun, but he can put his body on the line side.
Yes.
Doink the Clown, because he's always pulling pranks.
Yep.
And then Goldust, because of all that sexual stuff, right?
Yeah.
All that put
No
together,
doubt.
that's Flax. That's Flax, especially with the goat mask.
That's awesome.
So it's just kind of like finding the amalgamation of everybody to put together. You know?
It's wild that you said Goldust because no word of a lie. What drew me to wrestling as a little kid was the freaks, like the masked guys, right? And Goldust is still today one of my favorite characters in all of wrestling. With that, and the bite. I love all that stuff. I loved it all.
Even later on when he's like, and he's doing the
electrocution thing. Dude, he killed that though.
Loved it, man.
I mean,
great.
It was incredible. It was kind of like watching R-Truth now, who's one of the funniest guys out there.
Good. And when we're talking about Goldust, or at least for the Runnels, let's just say him in the brother versus brother match. One of the greatest matches of all time.
Unbelievable. You're right.
I don't know if you're going to have a question about what my favorite match is, but I'll just...
What is your favorite match?
Brother versus brother.
Nice.
I had an opportunity to wrestle my brother on one of our big shows.
Oh, wow.
And it was just one of those things where, like, we hit a big move, the crowd is going crazy, and I'm like, this is great, isn't it? He goes, I'm having so much fun right now. Like, that's just one of those moments that you just can't replicate, you know? It never happened again, so it's just one of those things.
The last show I went to, the Reunion Wrestling 7, there was a brother versus brother match.
Nice.
It was Jamie Tucker taking on his dirtbag brother, TJ.
That's right. How was it?
It was a great match, and Jamie won.
Heck yeah, Jamie.
TJ's a dirtbag.
True.
You know?
I like Jamie a little bit better, but TJ's a nice guy too.
Yeah, is he?
I don't want to say he's a nice guy in public. He's a dirtbag, but...
All right, well, I'm sorry if you're a nice guy, and I've been calling you a dirtbag, but other people have said you're a dirtbag. So, I mean, what am I supposed to say? All right, but Reggie also wants to know, no, I'm joking, Richard Knight.
Yeah.
Since it's a Reggie question, here's another. Tell us a time you feel you might have gone just a little too wild as Flax.
Oh, boy. Okay. Can I mention sex toys on the show?
Sure.
Why
not?
So you ever see, I assume you've seen The Dark Knight, when the Joker's like, hey, you want to see a magic trick? Go and make the pencil disappear?
Yes.
Okay, instead of a pencil and an eye, imagine a dildo and a mouth.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm doing stuff with like sex toys. I come out with a fanny pack and I just have like a couple of really random stuff. If I was in a hardcore match once where it was like, well, it wasn't like it's a ladder match and the ladder's there. This is a match where you could bring your own stuff. Okay. So what kind of weapons or gimmicks would a guy like me bring? So I thought about bringing a black dildo wrapped in barbed wire. Seems right up my alley, right? It cut up me and a couple other people, and apparently when I brought it out during the show, we were hosting a child's birthday.
Yeah.
And then
what?
After the match, he ended up leaving. Or the family ended up, I mean, he might have wanted to stay, but the family took him away. So it might have had something to do with the barbed wire black dildo, which I don't know how many times they're going to be mentioning barbed wire black dildo on the show, but if we can get a counter for barbed wire black dildo, that'd be great. Not as much as Barry is.
Unbelievable, though, that was a kid's show.
Yeah.
Wow.
All ages, family entertainment.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's what you get when you have a free show in Manchester. You never know what you're going to expect.
There you go. All right. So we're going to now get a question from a guy that we brought up earlier.
Okay.
Mr. Stephen Lambert.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Pimp Daddy.
Yeah. Do
you have any lesser-known favorite Kurt Angle matches and or moments?
See, he knows that I love Kurt Angle as well. So, lesser-known matches or moments. Man, what is going to be a lesser-known match or moment? I can say that if anybody, I mean, him and Marty Jannetty.
Yeah.
I don't think that gets talked about a lot.
Right.
I know that I mentioned him and Brock in the Iron Man match. I'd also say maybe him and Shawn in the Iron Man when they had that Raw homecoming, because there's no winner, so not people really go back to watch that.
Right.
As far as when he left TNA and before he came back to WWE, when he was working in New England and he was working Cody or he was working Drew Galloway, those matches.
Oh, for NEW.
Yeah.
Down in Connecticut.
Like he was ready to come back. When he came back to WWE, they're like, we're not going to book you. So he like wasn't in ring shape. And then a year later, they're like, all right, ready to book you. And he's like, I'm not ready to wrestle again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then as far as moments, I mean, how could you go wrong with like Milkomania or the little hat? But I really love he had a promo. Oh man. New Year's Revolution, maybe 2006. He's going on a tear in the Elimination Chamber, even though he was like the first eliminated. But he's doing a promo with Daivari, and he's like, yeah, and I'd make Jesus tap out. Who'd he ever beat? Like something like that. You know what I mean? And he's even said in the promo, I can say anything I want, and these people will still love me because I'm the best in the world. And I'm like, damn, Kurt Angle, you're right. You're right.
He was just a natural.
So good.
Unreal. But one of my favorite moments is the one with Cena. You know, like, what makes you think, you know, and just that ruthless aggression.
Ooh, yeah.
Just because he helped to make Cena that day. You know what I mean?
And he should have had his last match with Cena. He should have.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Well, Cena still has to have one more match, too. I mean, that would be something else.
That would be something.
That would be, because, I mean, you can't go out wrestling A-Town.
No, and losing. Well, you could go out losing, maybe not A-Town.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? You need to see a really good match.
And I like that he said it was going to be for a full calendar year.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be like,
so he's going to bounce in and out.
It doesn't have to end at like a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam, you know?
Right.
It doesn't have to end in a world title match. It could be anything, you know?
Yeah. And it's amazing. When I had his father here a couple weeks ago, just to be able to talk about, you know, his son, and you know what I mean?
Such a down-to-earth individual. like
such a great
humble,
guy. Mr. Cena. He really is a hell of a guy. All right. Dave Delafonte.
Yeah, Destro.
Yes. Who would be your top 5 people in New England you would like to work that you haven't worked yet? Thanks, Dave.
Okay.
Dave's a good dude.
Dave's a great dude. I want to say that I think at the top of the list would probably be like an Anthony Green or like a Channing Thomas.
Yeah.
But then I also want to say a singles with Mike Montero. Yep. I've had a multi-man with Mike Montero, but that was a while ago, and I think that Mike Montero is now the standard bearer in New England wrestling.
No doubt.
Like if you can hang with him, you can hang with anybody.
Absolutely.
So a singles match with him would be great. I'd really like to have a hardcore match with El Valentine. I think that we would kill it.
Yeah.
I'd also like to have a tag match with myself and Spike against BMT and Ariel. I think that would be fun.
Nice.
And then I want to add one more side one. It's not really technically New England, but I would love to work a match with Stan Michael. I don't know if you know Stan Michael.
No.
Oh, he's a great talent out of New York, and he has like a singing, dancing thing that I like. Me too, but totally different.
Yeah.
We would either be like great opponents or great partners. I'd love to work something.
So was he on the show that you were just telling me about off here?
No, he wasn't on this one.
Do you want to talk about that? Yeah.
Oh my God, I would love to talk about Cabba Wrestle. But we'll say Stan Michael. Look up Stan Michael. He's one of the biggest up-and-comers in New England. He's great. More New York, but he does wrestle in New England. Cabba Wrestle. So the thing that I can say is, you ever go somewhere and you're like, I'm home?
Yeah.
This is like the perfect environment for me or a character like Greyson Flax. Every little aspect that I do as a character, they love everything. The singing, the dancing, the wrestling, the making fun of my opponents, the ribbing the referee, the getting the crowd into everything, the lays, all the sexual stuff. Like, so what they do is they have a live band, and then they have some wrestling, and then they have a burlesque show. And there's some performers that come up, they do a little strip tease, and people are throwing money in the ring, and they're having their own thing. And then they have the band, and then they have more wrestling, and then here comes the performers again. And this is just in and out for a couple hours.
Right.
And the atmosphere, it's such a tight-knit space, and everybody is going crazy.
Right.
I got my first ever "This is Wrestling" chant, and all it was somebody had me in a waistlock, and I just did a little hip grind. And they're like, what? And it was like, "This is wrestling." I'm like, oh my God, whatever I do now, it's going to go, it's going to be great. I cannot wait to go back to Cabba Wrestle. I really want to put them over. Providence, Rhode Island. Yeah. It was at the Free Play Arcade, which I love arcades, so there were some games underneath.
Right.
So good.
Now, is that Tim Murray?
Yes. Yeah.
Because I've seen Tim do an entrance.
Yes.
At I think it was NCW show, it might have been, where he did a song and dance at an entrance, and he killed it.
He's great.
I mean, he really is great.
Yeah.
He killed it.
I ran out of Lay's yesterday. I brought 200 and I ran out.
Really?
Like it's one of the biggest crowds I've ever wrestled in front of. Like, and I had a funny moment with
I got to get Tim on here.
Oh, Tim's great.
I definitely do. He's been around a long time.
Long time. He'll know about some of those promotions I don't. But I had a good moment with AG where we've been in locker rooms before. but never be like, okay, hi, how are you? Like, just happen to be, right?
Right.
So I said, hey, I'm Flax, because I tell everybody I'm Flax.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's your real name? And I go, no, it's Flax. And he goes, no, what's your real name? And I said, well, my last name is Flax, for real, but everybody calls me Grayson. He goes, hi, Grayson, I'm Anthony. I was like, all right, okay, he's this guy, all right. Yeah, so he's great, too. So, yeah.
He is great. He really is. Yeah. I went back to selling my merchandise when he was running his little shows there at the 01.
Yeah.
So I figured I wanted to get back into it at the time, and I only wanted to do it for one company. And I just figured how hard he works. And they never had a small, like, there was at least 120, 140 people at almost every single one of his shows. I mean, so it was worth setting up.
That's one of those people, like, he's gone out, he's done stuff, and he's bringing it back to help the community.
Yeah.
Not everybody does that.
Right.
Some people, they don't even come back.
Right.
Or they just come back and they're like, I don't want to help anybody.
Yep.
He's always willing to help.
Yeah, no, and he's a hell of a worker, too. All right, Dan Ruckus.
Dan Ruckus.
Yeah, he got 3 of them.
Okay.
What must-haves make for a great summer salad?
Oh.
I like this question.
Okay. I think that he's saying that because when I'm wrestling in front of a non-family friendly oriented, my finisher, which is called the Kiss the Canvas, is called the Toss Salad. It's a reverse pedigree. That's pretty much what I do. Yeah. But I can say that I'm not really a big salad guy, so I'm going to say for Dan, fruit salad, please.
Fruit salad. I make a good fruit salad. I always bring it to my girlfriend's brother's house. At all the cookouts.
Hell yeah.
Oh, all the time. All right. What is the origin story of the goat mask? You didn't already say it, did you?
Yeah,
you did. You already did say that.
Somebody was like, hey, you want to wear a goat mask? I said, I don't not want to wear one. Let's try it. Yeah.
I love that answer.
Why not?
That is awesome. But can I tell you something? I've always used you as a reference to how I dispel belief in professional wrestling.
Oh, please.
I always say, if there's a wrestler that says he's a goat in the ring, he's a goat. And I'm going to believe he's a goat because I'm dispelling belief.
Gotcha.
And I always go, bah. But I use you as a reference. I swear to God.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
No problem. All right. So Dan has one more. What is the strangest match you have wrestled? I almost said mask.
The strangest match I've wrestled?
Yeah.
That's a, I mean, I don't know. Strangest. This is gonna sound strange. I like
well, that's what they're asking for.
I like thumbtacks.
Okay.
I like falling in thumbtacks.
Oh,
it's one of those things that it looks like it's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think it hurts at all.
Really?
Gets the biggest reaction out of the crowd,
It
right?
really does.
So I like filling up one of those Walmart kiddie pools with thumbtacks. So if it's a match where I can fall into thumbtacks, sign me up. I don't know if that's strange.
Wow,
I love stuff like
that's a little strange that you like to do that.
I know. I've also had a couple hair matches or mask versus hair matches where if I'm a good guy, I'll win and they'll get their head shaved. But on the few occasions I've been a bad guy, I've gotten my head shaved.
Ooh,
so
really?
I like those kind of stipulation matches.
Okay, cool.
And get the people in the crowd to shave me.
Right.
They love
All right. Destro's back. Dave Delafonte.
Nice.
What are some of your pre-match rituals?
Pre-match rituals, besides like stretching and making sure I'm all limber, I do something that for anybody I'm in the ring with, and people kind of like rib me out on it as well because I've said it for so long. Before we go out, I put on my fist. So I say, all right, good luck, have fun, be safe, see you out there.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
But I've said that to so many people so many times throughout these how many years. Hey, doing Flax, good luck, have fun, be safe, see you out there. I'm like, yeah, all right.
Nice. All right. To Murray.
Yes.
How much fun did you have at Cabba Wrestle, which was the night before?
So
Tim,
much
I mean,
fun.
this was almost perfect timing.
Yeah.
We just talked about
So
it.
much fun. I can't wait to go back. Everything I did was just fine. Like the person I worked, neither one of us even like took a bump. Like we didn't really take a fall.
Yeah.
And the crowd were going crazy. Like
I want to go to one of the shows. I
can't wait.
really do. I want to support them. I do. Bobby D. This wrestler is... Oh, yeah. Oh, Bobby D. You know Bobby D.
Yeah,
Robert DeMore.
Yeah.
Okay. Bobby D. This wrestler is all for the fans and the kids. He makes it real.
all right. Guy in the goat mask makes it real. Okay.
Yes. Ask him who was his first match of his career and did he win?
No. I was in some random four-way, and I can tell you that the things I learned about that match was as soon as I came out, I was an instant fan favorite. I just came out clapping. Everybody was like, yeah.
Right.
And I realized how much I loved apron bumps, whether taking a move on it or off it. Not everybody was doing it. I was like, I just want a little extra pizzazz. So I like doing that. But no, I definitely lost my first one. And Bobby D, I had a match in Revere a couple weeks back, and I'm selling on the outside. I'm like,
If it was in Revere, Bobby D must have been
he was there because I remember saying, "Help me, help me," you know, just as a character. And the opponent's put me in a chair, and he's going to go the whole running around the ring to like drop kick me.
Right.
As he's running, Bobby D gets off the seat. He's like, "I'm going to help you, Flax." I'm like, "You got to get out of the way. You're going to get hit."
Bobby D
He's
is
great.
the
He's
man.
great. Yeah.
Him and his wife Laurie is fantastic.
Yes.
If you ever need help doing it, they're there. They're the first ones to come over and offer help.
They're the
They
best.
really are. They're great people. All right, Stephen Oliveira.
Nice. Okay.
King of the Sling. What does that mean?
King of the Sling.
What does that mean?
I
Do you have
love
a
him.
sling?
Yeah.
You did? All right.
So we're going to talk, this is going to be March or April of 2013. I was in a match where, it was actually the same match with that barbed wire black dildo, if we have a count.
Yeah. That's 5.
I wanted to do a spot where, the running double crossbodies?
Yeah.
I thought it'd be interesting to do it running off the apron. So mid-jump, realized we don't really have anywhere to go.
Right.
So when we collided, I ended up separating my shoulder.
Oh.
I still finished the match because, I'm quote-unquote tough guy, right? Stephen Lust takes me to the hospital because he was finished his match, nice guy. I'm there, and all of a sudden I hear a familiar voice, and I look across the hall. PDAC, Stephen Lambert is there. He either broke his arm or dislocated his shoulder from another match.
Wow.
So we're just
from
in
the same building?
Same building.
Okay.
Right? So and he was in a totally different
Yeah,
match.
yeah.
So we end up taking a picture in the hallway. We're the kings of the sling.
Nice.
And I will say that Steve forever has my utmost respect, love, and admiration because not only did he drive my car home and drive me home, but as somebody that really couldn't do anything, like we're talking to a guy that like helped me get undressed, get in my pajamas, get all stabilized. You know what I mean? Like as I was on.
He is a good dude.
Great
Though. Great friend.
Love
You're
that
right.
guy. Really do. He's
No
awesome.
doubt about it. Listen, I have a bunch more fan questions, but you were excited to talk about music.
Yeah, sure.
So maybe later you could go to the Facebook and answer the questions that we don't get to.
Please.
So we could talk some music for a
Okay,
little
what do we
because
got?
So, all right. So you love Nirvana. You have a tattoo.
I do have a Nirvana tattoo.
All right.
Yeah, I have a little.
Yep.
It's a nose, but it's got
Yep.
it's a logo with my favorite lyrics from my favorite song around there. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. What other grunge bands did you like? Soundgarden?
Love Soundgarden. Alice in Chains.
Yep.
Bush.
What did you think about Chris Cornell's Audio Slave?
Loved it.
Me too.
Loved it.
Just on the ride here, I heard a song.
Yeah.
That's what made me think of asking that question because I loved Chris Cornell.
He's one of the best.
You know?
I don't know if you have access to the Sirius XM, but they have Lithium. That's my
Okay.
favorite station on Sirius XM. It's all grunge and alternative. And there's some stuff that even now and then I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of that song. That's
kidding.
a song that exists. And then Tom Morello from Rage, he
Yep.
does his own like live shows every week where he's like, here's songs I want you to hear.
Nice.
So I grew up, my stepfather was a DJ. So
Oh,
he was on the
really?
radio. So, but he was doing a DJ for oldie stations.
Okay.
So I grew up on all the Beatles, Elvis,
Yeah.
everything. And I love that stuff.
Yeah.
And since I was born in '85, I knew all the '80s songs.
Right.
But then once like the '90s, and as soon as I heard Nirvana, I was like, okay, this is what wrestling could be. And then I became a drummer. I became a drummer
Yeah.
like '95 or so,
Right.
and that's when I was really getting into a lot of drums and stuff. I also I love punk. I love the Ramones.
Yeah.
I love Green Day. I love a punk band out of New Jersey called the Bouncing Souls. And then I also love, if it's a Metallica, I love the Stones. I love Eminem.
So
I
you
love
like
Zeppelin.
all kinds of music.
Oh my God!
Like, I
yeah.
mean, the 70s,
Yeah.
60s. I
Yeah.
mean, I love like what they call Vietnam music. even.
Yeah.
I'll pick a Saturday. My girlfriend likes to, she'll get up with me and then she'll hit the couch on one side, I'm on the other, and she'll go to sleep for 4 hours and I got headphones on, cranking out music. And I just did like a Vietnam War kind of
like what? What do you listen to?
or like
Run through the jungle.
yeah, that like CCR.
Yeah, I saw them live
What's
recently.
the other one? I just
Edgar
had it
Winter?
in my head.
Not Frankenstein.
No, yeah, that I like that
yeah.
too though. But it was what's his name?
Oh, we can cut it out. We can. edit this in post.
It was
Yeah.
just incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It takes you back to a time, right?
Yes. And before that, I was getting into like some Bee Gees.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Something kind of rocking around. Yeah.
And before that, I've listened to doo-wop, and I just love all kinds of music. And I found out that I kind of like a little country.
Yeah, do you?
Not a lot, a little.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
I like Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found a guy named John Prine. Did you ever hear of him?
I have not.
He's an American folk songwriter.
Okay.
Okay? He died already. He died like a couple years ago. He died at like 86 years old. I found him like 2 years ago. And I love this guy. I mean, literally, I'm not kidding you. This guy he sings so many great songs. Sam Stone. He's a song about a guy that's a heroin addict.
Okay.
And there's in the song, it's like there's overdose hovering in the air and all. It's just a great. You should check him out.
I will.
His name is John Prine.
John Prine. Okay.
Yep.
That's awesome.
But I love grunge. I love the 80s music too, like the hair band stuff.
I know I don't know if it's 80s or 90s, but Tesla. I know I saw that.
That
You're
is
like, when
my
I'm listening
favorite
to Tesla,
band.
my neighbors are listening to Tesla. I'm like, get him, Leo, get him.
Tesla is my favorite band, but I also like a band called Blue October.
Love Blue October.
Oh,
yeah.
Incredible. Justin's an
Me
incredible.
Today. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
And it's funny because he went from writing dreary, sad, crazy songs to songs of love and family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's changed. I actually met him. And I asked him how long he had been sober, and he said, 9.5 years.
Good for him.
You know, and he asked me how long. I said, I don't have a problem. You know what I mean? But he was pretty cool to meet, though.
I like bands that also put on a performance, like as far as like Alice Cooper.
Yes.
I like seeing Alice Cooper.
Yep, I saw
like
Alice
that.
Cooper a couple times.
I know you're talking about CCR. I've seen John Fogerty a bunch of times.
Have you really? I've never seen him.
He's one of the best, and he's playing with his kids now, and like his kids are great. Yeah, they're really cool. He'll play for like 2.5, 3 hours without stopping. Like,
Right.
Get him, John.
You know who I like is Lucas Nelson, Willie's son, Lucas.
I did not know he played live. Okay.
Yeah, and he did a thing on Howard Stern.
Nice. Okay.
He Carry On from Crosby, Stills and Nash.
Yeah. Are you a Howard guy?
Oh yeah, I like Howard. Yeah,
So
I like Howard.
my stepfather, before he was a DJ, he was working for Howard in New York.
Really?
So like my family has always been a Howard Stern guy. That's why we end up getting that Sirius XM stuff. Beck, he's like, I'm going to Sirius. So my family's like, we're going to Sirius. I'm like,
right.
All right, I still have a radio in my car. I don't know, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's wild. Yeah, that's crazy. And just so many. And I love all kinds of music, though. You know what I mean? But I used to always go to those hair bands. You know, go see Poison and Rat, and I loved them. Don't get me wrong. But I did go see once. Me and my best friend Joe, we went to see what I called Rat karaoke. Because the only member of Rat was the drummer, Bobby Blotzer.
No, yeah.
And he came out and talked, and the fans weren't really nice to him. They were yelling, like, go back behind the drums. And it was pretty sad.
What was the best show you've seen, Leo? You have a concert that like sticks out when they're like, hey, man, what's the best concert you've seen?
Blue October in Worcester. And almost any Tesla show.
Yeah.
They're freaking perfect, man, honestly. They've made like 2 albums of cover songs.
Okay.
And every song that they cover is incredible. And I know I'm a fan of them, right? But I'm serious. Like, these guys, they didn't last as long as they've lasted by being a one-trick pony. You know what I mean? They've been able to, over so many years, have so many signature songs and stuff like that.
Yeah, keeps them relevant.
You know?
The one I put up there, I saw the Rolling Stones at Gillette.
Nice.
That was a crazy show. Kanye West opened for him.
Nice.
What a show that was. I was lucky enough to see The Who in 2012.
Wow.
And I saw Van Halen when David Lee joined with Buckethead. Dropkick Murphys in Boston on St. Patty's Day.
Nice.
That might be the one.
Nice. I seen Van Halen.
You're great.
But I saw him with Gary Sharon. I'm just saying, you know, I kind of wish it was with any of the other singers. But, you know.
So I was in a punk band for many, many years. We had CDs that were in Newbury Comics.
Oh, nice.
We actually were on the radio a couple of times, Stompin' Charlie's.
Cool.
Then everybody grew up and they got on their way. In the last, I'd say 6 months or so, I was kind of tagged in. I know you had Frank Bones on here.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, Flax, man, you want to rap? And I'm like, do I want to rap? Like, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm doing a rap thing. You want to come check it out? I was like, okay. So I've been doing some songs with Frank Bones. We had our show. We did the Nails Fest show in Raymond, New Hampshire, where we wrestled and we rapped on the same show.
I didn't know that you were rapping with him, because he had talked about it on here that he was going to be rapping.
Yeah. So we killed it. We had a great time. I was Flax Man, but I didn't have this mask. I had a totally different mask.
Right.
From a video game called Mega Man. I had a mask from that. And yeah, we had a good time there. That was the first show. I know they just did something in Rap Night in Manchester. They have it every Sunday, and I think we have a big one coming up on August 25th. I don't know if it's been promoted yet, but we're trying to get shows out. We're trying to get singles out on Spotify. We're really trying. Music, man, it makes the world go around.
Absolutely. In my opinion, I love music more than anything. I love wrestling. I love women. I love cannabis.
Yeah, yeah.
But the one thing that I couldn't live without is music. And I mean that. I could not live without music.
I agree. And music makes all of those better. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
When I was younger, I thought my favorite thing about wrestling was the entrances and the music.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like,
Right.
before they even get to the ring,
Yeah.
this is everything.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when it was Mick Foley, where he would come out and leave to different themes, or, sometimes if Triple H is coming out and he has his little entrance, but when he's running out, it's a different cut.
Right.
So I don't know. I always love wrestling music too.
Yeah, me too. Edge's song was so iconic for so many years.
Yeah, I can tell you
know?
that when it comes to theme songs, because a lot of the copyright issues, I've actually I make my own themes.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, you're a wrestling crowd, and you're kind of thinking like, what can I do that hasn't been done?
Right.
So I thought of like the standard clap where it's like, da, 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 right?
Yeah.
And I just cut that in half. And
Okay.
so now my clap is, let's go, freaking Flax, let's go. So
Yeah.
that plays when I come out.
Nice.
The crowd's already into it. I'm doing it in the ring.
Yep.
And then I cut my own lyrics to that song. So I'm all about custom themes. Wrestling, I don't know which camera I'm looking at, but
That right there.
wrestling needs more custom theme songs, people. Get some creativity, put it
Yeah.
in your theme. You could take that theme anywhere and everywhere, and the promoters can air your matches with your entrance, and it won't get cut off or due to copyright strike violations.
And you know who used to use their own music? Was Christian Casanova, because Royce Bishop, his partner, he used one of Royce's songs.
I'm so happy for him. I'm so proud of that
That's
guy.
incredible.
Like sharing a locker room with somebody like that and then seeing him like on
Yeah.
TV wrestling Andrade,
Yeah.
stealing the show.
And he's the same type of guy, because I
Right?
run into, he's the same guy, even though he's a big star now.
And now he just gets advice from Shawn Michaels every week. Same guy,
Yeah,
though.
which is pretty cool,
Of
you
course,
know?
right? Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, that they brought Shawn Michaels in right there.
Yeah.
My oldest daughter just had a birthday.
Happy
and
birthday.
Thank you. She's a year younger than you.
Okay.
So you could, I could have had you as my kid.
Sure.
You know? But Shawn Michaels was her favorite wrestler, so she took me to see NXT.
Yeah.
And she read in the newspaper that Shawn Michaels was bringing NXT to Lowell, so she bought me tickets. And I was sitting there, and she says, "Do you think Shawn's gonna come out?" I'm like, "No, honey, why do you say this?" She goes, "Well, it was in an article that Shawn was coming to Lowell." So I'm like, "No, honey, I'm sorry. Shawn Michaels ain't coming out."
he?
But no!
Was he in the back or anything?
Yeah, of course, he must have been
Oh,
in the
my
back,
God.
but it's not funny.
We got 10 seconds.
We got it. So go and
Freaking
plug
Flax,
something.
I'm going to be Supernova, Cabba Wrestle, Proving Ground. Shout out to all the talent in Lowell. I don't know what's in the water, but I love you, Leo. Thank you.
Thanks, Flax. We're out. Peace.
Thank you, Leo. Appreciate it. That was awesome.
Hi, guys. I hope you're enjoying the show. Listen, I could use a little help to grow my YouTube channel. So if you could please like, share, and subscribe. That's most importantly, subscribe. Send me a direct message, and I'll give you a shout out here on the show. My YouTube channel is real simple. It's just my name, Leo Connors. Thanks in advance. Peace.